Welcome to Downtime in the Apocalypse, a podcast where Ted talks and Kevin listens. I'm Ted.
And I'm Kevin.
Listeners, it's been a hot minute since we've done this.
It's also very hot outside.
Yes, I think it was still winter when we last recorded.
Yeah, I think it was snowing last time we recorded. I forget, honestly.
And now it is 82.
Yeah, things change. Things change rather suddenly.
Yes, and to quote Mark Twain, if you do not like the weather in New England, wait a minute.
Yes.
Dear God, what happened? I'm not even sure. Was I still working at the school? No, I wasn't.
No, you weren't. It's been long past that at least, so it's not been that long ago.
Honestly, it's hard to judge. I mean, did we talk about how the Tim Horton, the Horton family married into the Duncan Empire last time?
No, we did not.
Oh yes, Canada has officially entered into a personal union. Now, this doesn't actually change anything until the next generation.
Well, it's a lot to look forward to.
Yes, Prince Horton and the Empress's scion, the Principess.
Yes.
Sorry, I combined princeps and princess there. That was not intentional.
I liked it. I like that new
Principess,
wordplay.
there we go.
Principess is good.
Yeah, both titles combined to one. Are married now.
Which, congratulations.
Congratulations. From what the paparazzi has been saying, it was an actual marriage of love that kind of was like, oh, this is super convenient for our countries.
Yeah. I do love super convenient love stories when they benefit our country. So I'm happy about this.
Yeah, I mean, say what you want, but that was kind of the whole argument for monarchy for a while. Was, well, if they're all related to each other, they're not going to want to fight each other. And then World War I proved that wrong.
Well, you forgot how stupid humans are. So
yeah, but man, can you imagine going like, all right, I'm going to slaughter the realms of my cousin.
Yes. That leaves a bitter taste in the mouth.
Yeah, right. It's like, but then again, I guess history is.
What are you doing, step bro?
Rebelling.
Don't murder me, step bro.
Yeah, that changes this very much.
Don't invade me, step bro.
All right. So, Kevin, what's been new with you?
A few different things. One thing that has been relatively new with me is that I have purchased Resident Evil 8. I have not played any of it yet.
So, I'm only aware of Resident Evil 8's existence because of the
Vampire Mommy?
Yes, who the internet has decided is their favorite dominatrix.
I mean, so far from what I've seen, that's very accurate. If you go to Twitter at all, there's just nothing but generous photos of her. So,
yeah, weirdly enough, the only reason I became aware of her is me and a friend were watching Trinity Blood.
Oh, okay.
And Trinity Blood vampires have the ability to like make claws come out.
Oh.
And my friend was like, "Oh, they also put that in the new Resident Evil game," and I had no idea what he was talking about.
And then he looked it up.
No, well, then he showed me.
Yes. I think it's very interesting. I like how they're going for more of like a spooky mansion kind of like, just put vampires in there. It's fine. Like, whatever.
Yeah, I think Resident Evil has been, well, the games have been more and more experimental.
Yes.
And, Resident Evil 4, which had only pseudo-zombies, and the last one being Appalachian horror. Like, they're trying their best to be unique.
Yes, no, I agree with that.
And I appreciate that in my game design.
I can't wait to start playing it. A friend of mine, Bob,
Mm-hmm.
good old Bob. He played through it. He beat it in 5 hours, and now he's going through a knife-only run. So where he's going to kill everything with a knife in 3 hours.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see how he does. But along with that, a friend of mine has also released a book.
Oh.
Yes.
What's the book?
So it is a murder mystery novel. You can pre-order on Amazon, and there's going to be a link in the description. But my friend has just recently released it. It's like Murder on the Slopes.
Oh, okay.
And I loved it. I loved reading it. So I really recommend it to everyone to see it. And also the cover art is amazing too, by the way.
Interesting. Judge this book by its cover, people.
That's what Kevin always says. Judge a book by its cover. never look any deeper. That's right.
Yeah. Now, listeners, we do have to address the elephant in the room.
Oh, the tiny miniature elephant, the
Yes,
miniature pachyderm we
So
have
you
here.
may hear the very, very soft honks, snorts,
Gurgles,
gurgles
like a Murgle.
of a French bulldog.
Yep, who is eating various things. We have talked about MC Jerry before.
Yes.
He has a new apprentice, I would say, and this new apprentice is named Baby.
She is still a baby, so
She is still a baby, yeah.
Works.
So she has a lot to learn, but we're hoping that she understands sound design, and hopefully can make the show even better for our listeners.
Kevin, this
Yes.
is going. I promise this comes back around, but
Yes.
this is going to be a tangent. You've played Mass Effect, right?
Yes.
Okay. Have you listened to all the codex entries and everything?
Most of them, at least, yes.
Okay. You know how the Vorcha, they can be adapted to one thing, and one of the sub things they do is yeah, sometimes they're just taken from birth and trained to be accountants and ship pilots and crap.
Yeah, I remember that. Yes.
But they only live to be 20 years, no matter what.
Yep. So it's sort of like a catch-22 with that, but
yeah, it's kind of like that, except somewhat more ethical.
Yeah, I agree with that. Nice thing is you don't have to pay for retirement.
True.
Yeah, and all the health benefits are well, there's another one.
Anti-flea medication.
Yeah, well, there we go. Well, here we are.
You won't get worms, little baby.
You won't get worms, baby.
Yes.
MC Jerry's taking care of you well.
The baby is currently trying to climb up my leg. It is very cute.
Yep, she's trying to mess around with the mic, but she can't quite reach it yet. So she'll have to grow into it.
Yeah, so I don't have anything nearly that interesting to announce. People at work think my name's Brian.
Didn't that get solved, I thought?
Yes, and I actually met the guy they thought I was.
And he looked completely like you, right? It's easy how they could confuse you with somebody that looks so similar to you.
So I actually have to add an asterisk because I didn't think so because the skin tone was just completely wrong. However, he did just get back from Hawaii.
Oh, so now he's paler.
And having seen pictures of the past,
yeah,
I kind of get it. And the woman that first got the mix up does have rather severe vision issues. She does have a walking cane. She goes to the Massachusetts Institute for Blind. So I can see how the vague outline of both of us was easy enough to confuse.
I do kind of love that.
Yeah, no, it makes more sense the more I looked into it.
Yeah, okay, I can understand that.
But we're about the same white. Yeah, we're both white.
We're about the same white.
Well, now he's not. He is downright Mediterranean at the moment.
Yeah.
But we're about the same size, weight, height, and we both have facial hair and very little hair on the top of our heads. So.
Well, as someone from the South would say, your feathers have blown south.
Actually, I was recently in the South.
I remember we were going to talk about something, Mr. Ted.
Oh, what?
And I believe that was about how somebody failed your family.
Oh, God. Okay, so going with 2021 is the worst year of Ted's life.
Yeah.
My grandmother died. I am now without grandparents.
Sans grandparents, yes.
Yeah, and this was hard on my father.
Yes.
More so than anyone, including he, thought it would be. Mostly because everything that could go wrong did go wrong. Now, most of this kind of falls on my grandmother's, well, up until her death, husband, Jerry.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, the catchphrase of the whole trip was, "Fuck Jerry." For example, my grandmother was in the hospital for a week.
Yep.
We were not informed. The only reason we knew at all is because after some severe surgery, she woke up, found her phone, and found the million missed calls my father had given her.
Okay.
And called him back. We were not aware the condition was bad because she frankly thought she was fine and she was complaining about the breakfast she was going to have to eat the next day.
Yeah.
So rather than spending the last moments with her loved ones, we didn't. Secondly, Jerry messed up the name on the death certificate, booked a chapel in the retirement home which didn't allow people to come in for the service, got her cremated, which no one thinks she actually wanted. I'm sure there's other things, but that's Jerry and how he messed this all up.
Yeah.
However, as you can imagine, when loved ones die, we have some sort of societal coping skills.
Very true.
And one of the most ingrained one is get some Jesus in you. You need to look past this mortal coil.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty sure this one pastor destroyed my father's faith in God.
Well, you know what's better than Jeebus?
What?
Music theory.
Okay, look.
I'll get you in the mood.
So here's what happens. I went to a church. We've been to this church before.
Yep.
It's the one my sister goes to.
Yep.
And it's a Baptist-inspired but non-denominational church. And the actual room is basically a music hall. And so here's how
ironic.
Yeah, here's how strangely unchurch-like it is.
Yeah.
There wasn't a single cross.
Oh, that's odd.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
There was
very
no
odd,
religious
actually. Even
imagery
it's like
whatsoever.
even if it's like non-denominational.
Yeah,
That's
a
still
cross
odd.
is pretty much like
That's universal.
yeah, a fish, anything. Like
yeah.
there was stained glass windows in our prayer room, which was separate.
That's weird. That's very
Right?
weird. Yeah. I don't like that.
No, so we go in, and they sing some songs. They have a band and everything, and we're expecting some sort of service.
Yeah.
And instead, the two pastors pull up chairs, say we're doing something different, and they discuss the difference between worship music and hymns. And then we get the autobiography of one of them and how he came to worship music and life of ministry.
Ah.
And then we sang the same song 4 times. And
Oh.
that's not a joke.
Nice. That sounds like fun.
And that was it.
The only way that it could be worse if one of them started handing out like mixtapes.
Oh God, that could have happened.
That's the only way it could have gotten worse for you.
Now, I'm gonna
You
complain.
need Jesus.
I'm gonna complain about 2 other things in this church.
Okay.
Because I thought they were weird. Now, like most churches in the age of the apocalypse, they are live streaming.
Oh, as you do.
Which I don't actually have a problem with.
No, that's fine.
And they had someone doing sign language.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Now, here's the issue. This was a modern church, and even before the pandemic, they didn't have hymn books or Bibles in front of you. They had a massive projector screen behind the stage, and all the words would pop up there so we'd all sing along.
Right. That makes sense, actually.
Yeah. I don't like the look of it. I'm more of a traditionalist with my churches.
Yeah.
But I understand the utility.
Right. Make everything easier.
The woman that was doing the signs only did the words to the songs.
Wow, okay. That's
the ones on the screen. When the 2 people were talking, she was in the corner listening, doing nothing.
Well, she has to listen too.
It was bugging me so much.
Oh, well, what they're saying is not important. They can lip read. It's fine.
Really bad.
They can lip read. It's fine.
The second thing is, this was one of the
maybe they're just saying things she didn't understand, so she couldn't do that. Couldn't do the hand signs. Like
it was bad.
Was this during the music theory?
Yeah, no, she was just sitting there listening. She was
Yeah.
not signing any of that.
Well, to be fair to her, maybe it was just like, oh, this is not very interesting. I don't even sign this really.
This isn't important.
This is not important. They're not talking about like anything related to Jesus at all. So
Jesus came up remarkably little.
yeah. So I'm not gonna do anything with this.
Yeah.
Song lyrics. 1 sec.
The ones that are on the screen, yes.
Yeah, you can clearly see. Like, well, no. Well,
it was really bugging me. The second thing was, this was one of the times they did communion.
Oh, okay, right.
Which is not really part of their service, like from a theological perspective, but it's a good reminder of some, symbolism and the early works of Christ and all that. All right, COVID ruins everything.
Well, yeah. COVID has its reach is far.
Yeah, so
Its
we got
casualties
these
many.
little plastic containers with a cracker and grape juice.
Oh, look at that! Your daily rations.
Now look, normally, I find the fact that the walls of church and state have basically been destroyed, and the United States before its fall basically had laws for Christians and laws that apply to everyone else.
Oh yeah.
Thankfully, the empire is secular. However, look, you're allowed to give out freaking wine once a week to anybody for this.
True.
Why
Very
the hell
true.
am I drinking grape juice?
Well, Ted, you are more of a traditionalist, as you have said.
I was looking forward to alcohol.
I know.
After that, I could have really used a stiff drink.
So Ted, let me talk to you a little more about music theory and why hymns are amazing. You want to buy my mixtape, by the way?
God, it could have.
Jesus and You.
Now,
Sorry,
Kevin,
Lord Jesus and You.
yeah. Now, even my father was like, "No, I didn't need this," and me and him went to the prayer room and we had a deep discussion about God and
Right.
the afterlife and the potentials either way.
Right.
I have had this conversation many times. I've basically been a social worker for about 3 years now, and man, I have never been more grateful for having experienced doing this in my entire life than that moment.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, yes.
Yeah, it's like, oh God, oh, no wonder you wanted me to come with you. I'm the only one here who's practiced this conversation.
That's true. It's very
I've
true.
done this before, not with my old father, but
that definitely puts a different spin on it, though. I would say.
yeah, but the talk was relatively the same.
Okay, fair.
However, we went out to a restaurant whose name escapes me at the moment, which is kind of embarrassing because we go there literally every time we're in Mississippi
Oh, nice. Okay.
because they have amazing desserts. The food is good, but they
But
have
the
this
desserts are really
yeah, they have made
stand out.
pies. I think
Oh,
one's called their black bottom pie and has like a fudgy chocolate at the bottom and a normal cake and mixed with a lot of cream on the top.
nice.
Then they
Nice.
have a peanut butter one, which is the peanut butter is whipped in with the cream, and that's probably better.
Okay.
Though, interesting enough, they seem to have had a slightly different recipe for the black bottom pie this time,
Oh.
and the chocolate seemed to have a little bit of bourbon in it.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes, which was different than the past, but and I think the peanut butter is still better, but I was glad I got it that time because, well, who knows
Yeah.
if they're going to do this again.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. There just be a little experiment
Yeah.
here.
And we ran into one of the pastors.
Oh. So how'd that go?
Look, normally I'm the asshole in the family who'd be like, no, you what the hell, man?
Yeah.
However, I have learned to hold my tongue, and I greeted him and chatted. Thankfully, my mother has went full Karen and just flat out told him that's like, you really failed my husband today.
It's really sad. It's really sad.
It's like that was awful. This could have been a come to Jesus moment. And literally, I talked to my dad this morning about it, and he has lost faith in there being an afterlife.
That sucks. That really sucks. That's awful.
Like, there is a timeline very close to our current one where he
Yeah.
had a come to Jesus moment,
Yeah. And everything worked out so much better.
and he 100% didn't this time.
Yeah.
It's very strange. And like, I'm not a proponent of religion, but honestly, I think literally anything other than that would have been better for him at the time for his happiness.
I agree. This is a bad kind of situation. I have to say.
Yeah, it was like that, and I do mean like this morning we were talking about my grandmother's urn, which is just sitting on our counter.
Ah, God.
Yeah, which once again we do not think she wanted to be cremated at all. Like if you, ugh, fucking Jerry, not you, Jerry, you're fine.
Yeah. Take it easy, MC.
Yeah, but it's bad.
Yeah. In 10 words or less, it's bad.
I'm glad my mother just flat out told us, like, look, this, and hey, if any of you like do give religious sermons or anything, just think there might be someone in your audience at any given week that is ready to give themselves to God.
Yeah. Or just I would say sometimes when we're at our darkest moments, we kind of go to church. So having I'm sure there was good intentions behind the music theory thing. I'm sure, but just not the right timing. Bad timing.
Yeah, do that in one of your study groups you have 3 of a week.
Yeah.
That would have been a great topic actually for a study group.
Study group, that would be like fine. In
Yeah.
general,
This week we're talking about how we came to Christ and the music.
yes.
That's a fine conversation to have in a study group.
Yeah, I agree. Unfortunately, that didn't happen.
No.
So we have to live in that reality.
Now, this 5 days out of Mississippi clearly sucked. However, there was one golden moment
Okay.
that was just great.
Yes.
My nieces didn't know we were coming,
Oh, we got to surprise them.
and it was one of their, like, she was in like a volleyball tournament. Like, she was playing 4 games in a row.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That was the older one, Sophie, and the younger one, Gabby.
Yep.
Who had her first baseball practice that afternoon,
Oh,
which
that's
was
also sweet.
adorable.
Yeah.
However, Sophie sees us walk in, and she does a perfect game. She's the one serving at the start, and it goes 25-0.
Yeah, she destroyed those.
Yeah, just like
She destroyed those
absolutely
other girls.
murdered them, and like her mother was like, she's not this good. She really wants to prove it herself to you all.
Aw, that's sweet. That's really sweet.
Yes, however, the happiest moment was Gabby, upon seeing my mother, her grandmother,
Yeah.
little girl just beaming smile, hugs her, takes a seat, jumps into her lap,
Yeah,
gets a hug. Both of them clearly could not be happier.
that's really sweet. That's
Yeah,
very nice.
that was the happy moment.
That's see. At least there's that.
Oh yeah, that was great. That couple hours was excellent.
Yeah. To get back from Mississippi here, what did you have to eat since I've last seen you, other than like some delicious looking pies?
Oh yes. Okay, dear God, what have I had recently?
Bop, bop.
All right. So I've actually ate a lot of lentils.
Okay, I did not expect that.
Yeah, work has a cafeteria, and they've made like a lentil rice mixture lately, and it's been very
Okay.
good.
Right.
Besides that, and my own personal rations, I have been air frying chickpeas,
Interesting. Okay.
and chickpeas air fry very well. I toss them with a few spices of my choice: paprika,
Yep.
olive oil, garlic salt, that sort of thing.
Right.
However, their reaction to being air fried
Yeah.
seems to go one of two ways, and I have not been able to figure out what the difference is. Because sometimes they just air fry nice, and they end up being kind of bar nuts.
Right. And you got that good crunch going on.
Yes. And sometimes they pop.
Oh, that's not so nice. That's bad.
And it doesn't seem to do anything to the air fryer. I don't know, but I used to hear pop, 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 pop.
Like
It's like
popcorn.
And I don't know why sometimes they do this and sometimes they don't. Because it's never like, I fill up the air fryer, and it's either I'll get a bunch of pops or
Right.
none.
That's weird. That's really
Yes,
weird.
and I cannot figure out why.
Is it just like I would think maybe it's the density of the chickpeas? Like I don't know. Like
I don't know. I've done this enough times where like from experimenting a little bit, I
right.
should be able to figure out why.
Yeah. That's weird. I would say maybe it's got something to do with like the amount of olive oil on them or something.
Maybe it's got to be something small.
But yeah, something kind of small that variable that just affects it for whatever percentage of amount of times they pop. That's weird though. That's really weird.
Yeah.
But other than that, other than your delicious chickpeas popping inside your air fryer, anything else, my friend?
Did we talk about the weird wines we've been having?
I don't think so. No.
All right. So there seems to be. I run Fate Accelerated, and there seems to be sort of a contest on see who can bring the strangest drinks.
So far, I think Sean's winning.
Yes. And of course we're doing a Greco-Roman theme, so it has to be wine. And I thought I was going to be clever, and I brought like rice wine, soju, and everything. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is going to be great. Nope, I got blown out of the park.
You got blown out of the park by possibly the weirdest looking wine bottle thing I've seen, which is asparagus wine.
Yes, and if you're wondering, how do you brew asparagus into wine? You don't. You make a white wine and then put
A stalk of asparagus inside.
I do mean just a stalk of asparagus.
Oh, it was cooked. Probably was cooked, I would hope, but like
I don't know. I didn't eat it.
yeah, me either. But I don't even like asparagus. I'm not a fan.
Oh, I do like asparagus, and I feel like they did not put enough asparagus in there to matter.
It was more it was just sour.
Yeah, it wasn't a great wine either.
No, it was just it seems like, oh, we need something to sell this wine. How about we do something weird? Let's put a thing of asparagus in there and charge more money for it. Hey,
Yeah.
some idiot will buy it, and we did, so it's fine.
Yeah. And what else did we have? We had blueberry wine.
Cranberry wine.
Cranberry. That was amazing.
That was really good. I like the cranberry
Yeah.
wine. I like the blueberry wine a lot too,
Then
actually.
we had rhubarb wine.
Rhubarb was not bad. You did not like it.
I did not like the rhubarb.
Yeah. You were very anti rhubarb.
Which is interesting because I normally love rhubarb.
I haven't had rhubarb by itself, so
Okay, so just hear me on this one. Rhubarb is very much like cranberries in a particular regard.
like it's not great to eat them by themselves per se.
The recipes call for a metric
Immensely
ton of sugar.
Okay, that makes sense. Honestly, I'm not surprised. That seems like a type of. Is it a fruit?
No, rhubarb is a
Is it a root?
no, it's a relative of celery
Oh,
and
oh,
grows in stalks that are just kind of like red celery.
oh. Okay, that's actually kind of cool. I didn't know that. That's really cool.
Yeah, no, it's just red celery and it's kind of tart.
Ah, would you mind I know you don't eat like buffalo wings
Mm-hmm.
anymore or anything like that, but just having rhubarb sticks instead of celery
Oh,
sticks?
I'd do it in a heartbeat. I quite like rhubarb.
Would you dunk it in blue cheese?
I would be willing to give it a shot.
Yeah, you know what? Let's try
Yeah,
and get some
yeah.
rhubarb and some blue cheese and see how this goes.
Interesting enough, normally I'm not. I don't dunk the celery into the blue cheese.
Yeah.
I wipe up some of the barbecue sauce.
Oh, you go over like the spice hit on that end.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get you.
Bless
I
you.
I feel like celery stock. Well, most like vegetables are just like a service device to get some sort of other liquid into your mouth that you can't just drink and eat normally.
Yeah.
So, for example, like ranch or blue cheese or hot sauce, like I could just eat the hot sauce, but that seems a little weird. I need to put it on something.
Yeah, it's like my coworker who orders extra gravy from KFC and drinks it.
Yeah, that's to me that's weird. That'd be just like ordering a bunch of like barbecue packets and just drinking the barbecue sauce from the packets with
I
no
agree.
fries. I'm glad we're on the same page here. Yeah, no, that'd be weird.
Yeah, though I'm sure like there's some invisible line between what is a soup and what is a sauce.
So I think like for me anyway, for it to be considered a soup and not just like a sauce, it has to be almost kind of like the main attraction,
Yeah,
like chili.
yeah, I get that. Though
Yeah.
this is gonna sound. I'm not sure how strange this is. Just like a family recipe for macaroni is instead of pasta sauce, use tomato soup,
Oh. Oh, okay. Yeah, I see. I see.
which I didn't know until I was much older. I was
Right.
like, oh, I miss Graham's macaroni, and then my mom was like, oh, sure, and just opens up some tomato soup.
And it just pours it.
It's like, nope, wait, is that the recipe? Try it.
It
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
is.
that's it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's stupidly simple.
Uh Weird how things go with that. But here's some things I've been trying and all that. Recently I've put my hands inside like the kitchen and I tried to make a few different things.
Okay.
One of those things being basil lemonade.
Ooh.
So I looked this up just a little bit. I had to make something for Mother's Day
Yes.
for my ma. So we all brought like a bunch of different things, but apparently we didn't have to do that because we just bought Korean food instead. So
Excellent.
whatever. But I brought basil lemonade, which is just hand squeezing a bunch of lemons and then taking a bunch of like sugar, putting it with some water, and then muddling a bunch of basil inside like a saucepan, and then kind of melting it and muddling it there, and then pouring that mixture inside of the lemonade. And then from there, also made little cups of cream cheese, buffalo sauce, garlic buffalo sauce,
Excellent.
and chicken. So mixing all three of those things together, putting them in the oven, putting some blue cheese on top, and then making those for the family members there.
Nice. Ooh, actually, speaking of Mother's Day,
Yes.
so I commissioned my mother a cake.
Oh, okay.
Um, our mutual friend Sean's sister is a baker,
Okay.
and I asked her for as low calorie count a cake as possible.
Okay. I'm okay. How did that work out?
Amazing.
Oh, all right.
So it was a vanilla sponge
Yep.
with actual whipped cream. Like she got the cream and whipped it into that form. In the middle and as a frosting. Top had a marzipan layer, followed by a bunch of raspberries, blueberries, and strawberries. And she insisted that she needs to know the exact time.
Right.
And she's like, "Oh, can we do that in the pick up in the morning? Because if we do it at 11 on Sunday morning, I can have all of them be freshly picked from that day."
That's really cool. Okay. That's fancy.
Yes,
That's fancy, son. I like that.
it was delicious.
I'm a I do like those kind of fruity kind of cakes. I'm not a big chocolate guy, unfortunately, but I do like those kind of fruity kind of flavors and everything. That's why I smoke fruity stuff usually, and not something that's creamy per se. But
Yeah, it was very good.
yeah, no, that sounds amazing. Oh, I tried. You told me before that you had like cornflake fried.
Ice cream, yeah.
Yeah, ice cream. I did not get the ice cream. I got cornflake fried chicken.
Oh,
So tasting that, Not great. Wasn't great. I think it was just like the place I had it at wasn't that awesome, but it's I can see where it could be good on ice cream. That sounds like great fried ice cream actually, and I would love to try that one day. One day. But anyways, going from that, Ted, what did we do this week after watching a movie all those long weeks ago?
Yes. So today we played Microscope. Now, Kevin, I was originally not going to do this game for this. My thought was, okay, we just watched a movie with a bunch of time travel. Let's look at some time travel RPGs.
Yeah.
There are not many, and the ones there are either A are bad, or B are like sub RPGs.
Right, like
Like
yeah.
there's for um, Mutants and Masterminds. There's a book for time travel.
Oh, okay.
Um, for Fate, there is different world books,
Okay,
and
for
one of
yeah.
the settings is playing basically professional criminals that
Right.
go back and change the timeline
Oh, nice. I like that. Yeah.
for profit.
That's great. That's great.
However,
Like that Star Trek episode
yeah,
where they do that several times.
that didn't really work out very well from like a gameplay perspective. So I was like, we can't do that.
Right, right,
Next thought, okay, D&D. We go on a most excellent adventure.
That'd been kind of fun.
And I was like, okay, we'll start with an older edition and we'll go to the Planescape.
Ah, okay.
Fun fact, no actual rules for Planescape in the old D&D editions.
Ah,
It's just the setting and it explains everything. And
yeah. It's a pretty free form with that.
yeah,
Then.
but it's like there's no special classes or species or nothing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. I see.
Like, oh, well, I'm not going to explain AD&D for that. Seems like a stretch.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you're right.
So, after going through those, I was kind of at a loss.
And then
I was going through my books and found my old copy of Microscope.
you could say that you made some sort of scientific discovery there, and then you happened upon a microscope RPG.
I could say that, yes.
You could, but you won't.
No, absolutely not.
Okay, good.
Now, Microscope is a world building RPG. It is
Wait, Ted. What does RPG stand for?
role playing game.
Okay. And what's a world?
I don't know how to answer that question.
What's a question?
Good question.
I'm sorry. Continue about microscope.
Dear God. Now, for a tangent, at work, a woman keeps making fun of me for having a degree in philosophy,
Oh,
and then I'm like, someone's like, "Oh, she's really going into you," and then she's like, "Well, yeah, but I also have a master's in secondary education and never taught, so I can't really talk." I'm like, "Oh, good. I'm glad you acknowledge we're in the same boat." Then.
yeah. So please stop mocking me.
Alternatively, continue talking about that more.
Yeah, bring that up more, please.
Because if I do it, I'll feel bad. But if you bring it up, then we're on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's fine. Yeah.
But Microscope is one of the games where instead of playing characters, you make a world. And particularly why I thought it would be appropriate for this
Yes.
is you make errors of history. So what happens is it requires a lot of index cards. But you start making a world and you first agree on the do's and don'ts of the world.
Yes.
So I'm going to go through the 3 games I've played,
Yeah.
which includes the one I played with Kevin.
Okay.
First one was very much kind of a anime Avatar: The Last Airbender Eastern inspired one,
Oh, that sounds really cool.
and we had like rule number 1 was limited technology, nothing above muskets.
Okay.
Spirits were important, the gods were real, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And we had monasteries and orders of monks and dynasties throughout history. Second one I played literally was Dark Souls. And I do mean that. Like we explicitly had like the first and final cycle.
Oh, okay. I see.
And like in the final one, it was the Siegward clan extinguished.
Ah, it's very good. Okay.
And then me and Kevin made one where we decided high fantasy, high magic.
Yep. And that was really fun.
Yeah. Now, this is a game that after you make the do's and don'ts, with very few exceptions, you do not discuss or compromise. Which means, once we made the bookends and we decided the first and last era, which is the birth of magic and the great magic famine,
Yes.
we both make in either another era of history or an event in that era. So, for example, we could go, let's use kind of our own history.
Yes.
The Industrial Revolution could be an era.
Yeah.
So could World War One or Two.
Yeah.
The Great Depression. Or it could be long. The Middle Ages.
Yes. So it can vary a lot with time.
Yes. It's probably a few years. But it might be centuries. It might just be a few years.
Yep.
It really depends. And then in those you make events. Events are significant things that happen. And once again, their timeline can be interesting. But they're much shorter. For example, a war wouldn't be an event. The start of a war would, though.
Right. Right.
Going in history, World War II is probably an era.
Yeah, I would say so. Yes.
Pearl Harbor would have been an event.
In that era.
Yeah. Hiroshima's an event.
Yes.
And then you can go even further to scenes, which scenes always have a question you want to answer, and they involve characters. It's the only time you actually play characters, and they are very much individual. So going to like Pearl Harbor, what did the first person that saw the planes think?
Okay. Right. Right.
Would be a question that you play the scene of.
Yep. And then you have to set the stage of where the scene's going to be.
Yes, and then you pick the essential characters and play that. Now, Kevin and I were playing by ourselves, so we didn't get to do the full experience of this because after that, after everyone's declared what major characters, anyone else playing could just make up a minor character.
Or just like comes on in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can
So
see
if
that'd
you're
be pretty
playing
fun.
the general that just did a coup and the prime minister, and someone else goes, "What are you?" "Oh, I'm the head of the royal guard." "Okay, and what are you?" "I'm the minister of the interior." "And who are you?" "I'm the queen."
Oh.
It's like,
that changes a lot. Yeah.
yes.
Could change a lot actually.
Yes. Now, when you're doing this, the first person picks a focus once you've made your world.
Yeah.
And they get to make two things. Either they have to be nestled in with each other. So you can do a error and an event in it, or an event and a scene in that.
Yeah.
And everyone else has to go with your theme. So if, for example, your theme for it is Kevin, what's one we did? What was the first one we did?
Oh, I think the first one we did was Cults of Magic.
Yeah, the Cults of Magic.
Yeah.
And we did multiple, okay, well, this is when the first one was formed, and over here's when one's destroyed, and all that.
Yeah.
But you also pick whether or not an error is light or dark in eventful events. So we had the Cults of Magic Civil War.
Right. And just like, and when we say light or dark, we just mean like the tone of the scene. So it could be, let's say, for example, like, someone slipped on a banana peel and everyone laughed. Or someone slipped on a banana peel and someone went into a coma for 20 years and that changed the history of everything.
Yes.
So it depends.
Now, what happens is the person picks the scope and then it goes around the table, back to them, and then they get to do another two. Kevin and I played the slightly modified version where we each get a few more turns and the person that isn't the focus goes a couple times. The person that is the focus does one round where they only do one.
Yep.
And this basically made the periods and focuses more impactful.
Yep, it did.
Which meant that when we picked weird ones, it got weird.
It got really weird.
One
of the most notable things would be the Great Bear Migration.
I decided that the history of bears should be something that was important.
That was a good focus. I like that.
And started with the era of the Great Bear Migration.
Which was a dark time for everybody.
Yeah. And like bears learning how to fly.
Oh, yeah. And that was a really dark time for everybody.
The first bear wizard. And then the last bear executed.
Yep, and shot.
Which we did a full scene on.
We did. And that was very interesting. It's that, and also just kind of going into different sort of characters and expanding on them. And there's also some callbacks.
Yeah, so callbacks particularly are legacies.
Yes.
And every player has a legacy slot. So after you go around the table, the person to the right of the focus declarer, the person who had it last turn, gets to make a legacy. So, for example, in this game we had magic plus technology equals crazy for a legacy for a while.
Yep, that was a good one.
Humans exterminate.
Cults suck.
Yeah, cults suck. And then what happens is they make one. They can choose to discard their former legacy, and put the new one, or they can go, does anyone want to keep this? And if so, they can any player can discard their old legacy,
Right.
or alternatively say, yeah, I'll keep that if they don't have one.
Right.
Put it on there, and then the person gets to pick any of the legacies and either make one event or dictate a scene for that legacy, which does mean a callback can happen, but also the legacy they create has to somehow relate to things that happen. So,
Yeah, it can't just be out of nothing and random.
yeah. Political assassination cannot be a legacy if it's never happened before.
There you go.
Now, the game says, when in doubt, always go for a more narrow focus.
Okay, which makes sense.
Right. Which we kind of did the opposite of a lot of the time. Kevin was much better at keeping things focused. Kevin very much liked the scenes where I would just make grand events.
I do love the scenes because that was always a good bit of comedy just to go from that.
Yes, and we did so many things, like a duel between a wizard and a gunslinger over quinoa and tofu.
Yep, that's when vegetarianism was a huge thing.
Yes, the first bit was very serious, and then we and Kevin decided, nah, screw it. We're gonna do bears and vegetarianism for our last two.
You did roll a die and you got an 8. So
yeah, I decided to roll to see how wacky this would be.
It got wicked wacky, wicked quick.
Bears.
Yeah.
When in doubt, bears.
Yeah, or Lunar Renaissance.
All right, so the Lunar Renaissance is something I've put in every game.
Yep.
Just because I think that sounds cool, and what that means has varied greatly.
So I do love how the Lunar Renaissance for us eventually meant that pigmen tried to establish a kingdom on the moon.
They did. They established their own country on the moon. They declared sovereignty.
Yep. And then was the Dark Ages.
Where the moon was destroyed.
Yeah. And the Dog Coalition soon after just ruled everything. But
yeah, it gets wild.
It does get wild.
Because of how it works, like, since there is no discussion, everything, it feels more real.
Yeah.
Nothing is created by committee. There are no compromises.
Zero.
If I really love this kingdom and Kevin writes the event, it gets nuked. It happens.
Yeah. It's not like you can go and say, like, oh, it's a fake kingdom that secretly did not get nuked or something like that. But no, it got nuked.
Yeah, there's only a few exceptions to this, like, committee, and that's in the scenes.
Yes.
Which me and Kevin did not use because there's only two of us.
Right, so it would have been like a stalemate either way.
Yeah, so what happens is, if someone shoots another character, the person whose character is getting shot picks what happens.
Yes.
You can, however, have a vote.
To see if that actually does happen or not.
Yes.
Yep.
And the other thing they can do is, like, say it's like, yeah, but we already knew that.
Right.
This is pre-existing knowledge. Can we all agree that this isn't answering the question? This is an established fact already.
Okay, right. Almost like being a lawyer at that point.
Yes.
So, yeah.
That's it. Besides that, in the beginning, you just pick, and you just have to deal with it.
Yeah, and then the story changes from there.
Yeah, and like I said, it literally ended with humans being domesticated by dogs.
One of my favorite things about this whole game experience would probably be me misreading what you wrote. And first thing, during the Lunar Renaissance, there's a lot of technology going on.
Yes, the Lunar Renaissance came right after the invention of gunpowder.
Yep.
And apparently a lot of other technology was invented during that time.
Yeah, it just like skyrocketed from there, just exponentially. But one thing that Ted wrote down as an event was the first heart transplant.
Now, my handwriting is incredibly bad.
And so is mine, actually. But what is interesting about that is that I read that as head transplant.
And as soon as Kevin said that out loud, I'm like, nope, changing it. First head transplant. That's hilarious.
Which I thought, like, why is Ted writing head transplant? I don't understand. Like, how would that work? Like, how does that work at all? And then
you made a scene of it, though.
Then I made a scene
of it. And we explained why it happened.
I needed some context because I didn't understand what that meant and what I don't know. And it also turned out to be a pig head. So
yes.
And that's how we kind of established later on that the animals have the right to rule.
Yeah, it gets wild, and simple things like that, and you'll just, oh no, we're playing out this scene.
Right.
Really changes things. The world becomes very organic, very interesting, and certain themes kind of could be the legacies become very interesting.
Right.
Like, the cults really didn't matter that much. They were just political organizations. They mattered a little bit in the beginning and a little bit at the end, but really not that much.
It it could have mattered a lot more. So, for example, when we went on that vegetarian thing for a little while,
Yes,
we could have written like a scene of why the cult of the Red Thirst
thirst.
decided not to eat meat anymore.
Yeah, but we
Which,
didn't.
yeah, which I think that could have been interesting, especially considering the name, where that seems like, oh, that would be definitely a cult that drinks blood.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it was an interesting event that they swore off meat.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe they unlock some super vegan magic.
Who knows? We really.
Back
Actually, I think that was established later that vegan magic was a thing.
was vegan magic a thing?
Yeah, because they were talking about how, like, if you do a vegetarian diet, you can, like, channel stuff from those
Oh yes,
wells.
yes, that throwaway line we had between like the wizard and the cowboy about the benefits of tofu and quinoa. In tofu, you can channel energy. Good old synthetic magic made of human souls or whatever that was.
Yeah, like I said, the worlds you create are wild
Yes.
and interesting and dynamic. And one of the more interesting things in the book is if you ever want to play the game, like, you can always just keep adding to a world if you like. There's nothing stopping you.
Right.
It's all on index cards and they're put in certain ways and everything, so you could fold them all up and just put them out back on the table, wouldn't matter. But one of the things they suggest is, like, oh, if you really like something, pick an error and play that error. Like,
Yeah.
subdivide it to the beginning and end of that.
Yeah.
So we could have done the Lunar Renaissance, starting with the pigmen declare sovereignty and ending with Moon is destroyed.
Yeah. Yeah. We could have done that. Um. God, those pigmen learning how to fly. Wow. Good on them.
Yeah. By the way, if this sounds very confusing,
It is.
here, let me give you the basics of the history.
Okay. Yeah. Let's run through this here.
Yes. Now I'm regretting throwing away the cards.
I've got a pretty good memory on
Yeah.
it.
Magic is at first discovered.
Yes.
It's found in springs that people drink, and cults, which are more of like organizations
Yeah.
of magic, are founded in order to kind of focus themselves on in certain ideas, particularly because death is becoming less and less common.
Yep. And also, what is interesting too, especially early on, one of the first cults that we made, search for immortality was a big thing. And I do remember asking and saying earlier, like, oh, what about animals? Well,
That became a big thing.
yeah, anything that can talk.
Then followed by the Great Bear Migration,
Migration, yeah.
which the first event we put in that era was bears learn to fly.
Yes, we did. I wish we went more into that. I and why it was so dark, because that was like the implied thing. So it's like I could imagine like a flying bear, and I'd be like scared so hard. Where you're just like sitting on your porch or something like that, and then all of a sudden a shadow pops up over you and just like something bites your head off. That would be terrifying.
Yeah.
Or you're in like a 727, and then just like a bear gets caught in like the plane engine. I would love that. That'd be great.
Yeah,
It's like a goose sliding it in your like windshield.
yeah, that's when the first intelligent bear came.
Yes. The alpha bear, the first bear.
He developed intelligence, spoke in subtitles,
Yep, as they do. Rrr, rrr, rrr. How are you? Um,
and yeah, what was the next age? The invention of gunpowder?
I think the age.
No, the Civil War.
Civil War. Yes. Magic Mage. Yeah. Sorry. Cult Civil War.
Yes, where the cults destroyed the last republic.
Yep.
Then the king was assassinated by one of his generals,
Yep.
who went insane.
He went very insane at the end. He tried to ban all plant eating.
Yes, and then was assassinated, or not assassinated, but like killed by mana poisoning because of the amount of death he caused.
I think like what I was thinking was that radiation from from like the mana bombs. So he was just dealing with that too much. So he just he got like irradiated, and then from there killed himself.
Yes. Then came the creation of gunpowder, which is its whole age.
Yeah,
Which involved bears being exterminated.
Yep, to the last bear.
Yeah. not unions, duels.
Yep. And what was the other thing? It was the last bear. Oh, and a bear. The reason why the bears were being like hunted down was that one bear assassinated a king.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and that's why they were going to be culled or just exterminated in general. I think one of like the legacies you wrote was just like genocide.
It was like purge the
The
inhuman.
Inhumans. Yes, that's it. Yeah. So yeah, we just did like a genocide run.
Yep. Then came the Lunar Renaissance with the pigmen and everything.
Yes, 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 yes.
And then came the Dark Ages where all of them died.
Yep, we blew up the moon.
And the Magic Famine where the cult of the worthy destroyed the magic springs, started harvesting humans for their souls in a Matrix style scenario.
Yep.
And then dogs said, nope, no more rights for humans. We're domesticating you.
Yep. And there we are.
Fun
The
fact,
end.
that was the last card put on the first time dogs came up.
You know what? And that kind of like structures this whole entire thing to be pretty great. I loved it.
Yeah, no, like I said, even one more turn though, like if we did another round,
Yeah.
I could have put dogs being uplifted and anything.
Right,
right.
right.
You know,
Could have made like a lot out of that.
Yeah, was this a recent event? Did it just happen? We don't know.
Yeah, we're just. I do remember one thing we agreed on early on was no other dimensions.
Yeah, no.
No. Yeah, and I feel that's a in general a pretty good rule.
Yes. Another good rule is that I've done in the past for fun is no in-universe time travel.
Oh, because that'd be kind of weird. Yeah.
Yes. However, it does make for interesting legacy.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you're right. Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because if there's just time pirates,
Yeah, and there you don't go any. Yeah, there are just time pirates.
yeah, it's like, no, that's a great legacy. They can strike anywhere. Or what legacy are you picking? The Time Pirates event. Time Pirates sack the Pantheon.
Blackbeard goes in and kills the queen and ransoms her.
Okay, Vladimir Putin assassinated by Blackbeard. What?
And here we are. So Ted, what would you rate this RPG?
I would rate this RPG.
1 out of how many eras would you rate this?
How many eras did we have? 6, 7.
We had like 7 eras, I think.
I would give this a 7 out of 7.
Oh, okay.
I love this game. It is a game I wish I knew about when, or possibly was invented. I'm not quite sure when I was in college.
Right.
Because I can imagine me and a bunch of guys sitting around doing this every day.
Yeah, no, it'd be really fun. Personally, I'm going to say 6 out of 7
That's fair.
eras. I think a little bit of a slow start.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then just like snowballs from there. But it does have a slow start, and I really started getting into it after we kind of established everything that was going on. Very fun game. I suggest it a lot, and I'm pretty sure it's not even that expensive. Like, how much is it?
I think actually it's pretty expensive. It's $20.
Oh, well,
You get what you pay for, even the book's small.
yeah. it's a microscopic book.
It has 80 pages.
Yeah. No, even with that like price point, I highly suggest it.
Yeah, 80 pages and no art.
Well, at least it looks cool.
It does look cool. It
It's
is.
got a good minimalist design.
Yeah, it's very minimalist.
Yeah.
I mean, the entire thing is played with index cards.
Yeah. And a pencil. That's about
Yeah,
it.
that's all you need.
You know what? That's more than fine.
All right, Kevin. That's all we have for today, I think.
Yep. And Ted, it's good to see you. Glad to be back on with the podcast recording.
Me too.
And can't wait to make more of these.
Likewise. Talk to you all next week. Goodbye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.